Hello and welcome to a new video tutorial on YouTube channel of tutorialspedia.com. This video tutorial is part of a series of video tutorials in the MuleSoft playlist covering different topics related to MuleSoft Mule4 ESB. In this tutorial, we are going to see how we can use Map and MapObject functions in Mule4 which are available in DataWeave 2.0, and we can iterate on an array of objects. Here is a bit of more details of the topics that are part of this video tutorial. We will be creating a Mule4 project in Anypoint Studio, and in the transform message component we will play around with an array of objects. We will have an accounts objects array with multiple accounts, and we will see that how we can create a variable in DataWeave, and in that variable we will be holding the objects array of the objects. And then we will see that how we can play around using the map and MapObject functions in DataWeave and achieve the desired results. We will be having output in JSON formats with different elements, different than the elements which are in the input. And we will see that how we can iterate through all the records and achieve the desired goals. We will also observe that how we have different options available to use map functions, and how we can access keys and values with different approaches. And we will also see that how we can use the map object, and we will explain in detail with the practical the difference between map and map object functions in DataWeave. And we will use an if condition, and based on the if condition we will see that how we can make conditional elements addition to the output JSON. So let's now jump into the Anypoint Studio and directly see DataWeave 2.0 in action. I have already created a project in Anypoint Studio with the name iteration tutorial, and here instead of the source I'm just going to add a transform message in the process, because we are not going to run this project, and so that we don't need any source like HTTP connector or any other source, because we will use the preview option that is available in Anypoint Studio. So whatever changes we will do, we will be able to preview those changes directly through the preview option. So let me add this transform message from the core module, and now for this transform message we will be playing around in this DataWeave option. So let me open it in full screen, and first thing that I want to do is to open the preview, so that whatever changes we will do here, those will be reflected in the preview. Let me change it from the Java to JSON, and as soon as you change it to JSON, you can see that in the preview we have a blank JSON. So the first thing that I want to do is that I want to define a variable. I have already increased the font size so that you are able to see things in a clear way. So let's create a variable with the name accounts, and here I'm going to insert this array of accounts objects which I already created, and we have two objects in this array. Let me copy this and put it into the variable. So now we have created an accounts array with two accounts, and each object contains multiple elements like billing country, billing city, phone, ID type, fax name, and account number. Basically these accounts were created in another tutorial in which I explained how we can use Salesforce. So these were the accounts which I queried from the Salesforce, and just I'm utilizing the same. So once we have our variable created, now we have to play around with this variable, and after these lines here we have to do all the changes that we want to do. So now that we have already created a variable which is containing an array of accounts objects, after these three dashes, three hyphens here, this is the area where we are going to apply all our changes or whatever functions we want to call, and we will use DataWeave expressions here. So if we want to iterate over the array of these objects, we will have to use the map function. For the map function, we will have to first specify which array we want to iterate. So the name of our array is the variable which is accounts, as accounts variable is containing multiple objects of account. And now we are going to specify the function. So the map function syntax is that we have to specify map, and then we have to specify object name. So what name we want, you can use anything, account and index. So this way we are creating our required function. And here now this account will be containing in every iteration, this account will be containing an object of this from the accounts array, and index will be the index starting from the 0. So the first account that will be iterated will have index 0, and so on for every next iteration. It will have 1, 2, 3 onwards. In our case, we have two total objects in our array, so we will have index starting from 0 and it will go maximum to 1. So here, if we want to print whatever output we want, we have to specify here. For example, if I specify billing address, then I will have to write account dot, and you can see when I write dot, the data sense capabilities of MuleSoft, it automatically provides me all the available elements. So let's choose billing country. And if I want to have, since in the input we have billing city and we have billing country, so if in the output, since I changed the element name to billing address, so let's change it to account city plus account country, and we will concatenate. For that purpose, I will use account dot billing city, and I will use concatenation with plus plus. Let's add space and then plus plus. So now we are concatenating city and the country. Okay, so now if you see here in the output, we already have in the preview we can observe that for the first object billing address is London, UK, and for second one billing address is Islamabad, Pakistan. Because for the first one, if you see, if you observe the content of our variable, the first account is with the name David, and this one is in London and it's in UK. And the second one is for my name, which is Ajmal, and for this I specified city as Islamabad and country as Pakistan. So based on that, you can see that in the output we are getting the required results. There is another option that we can use if you don't want to use it with this lambda expression and you don't want to specify the parameters. You can do that way as well. So in that case, you will have to use dollar and dollar dollar. So since the first one is in the previous scenario we had account and index, so account will be if you want to access any of the elements of this object, any of the parameters, we will have to use dollar, and if we want to access index, we will have to use dollar dollar. So in this case, billing address will be if we want to access any of the elements of this bill object, we will have to use dollar dot, and you can see that we have billing country, billing city, and everything accessible. So in the same way, we can specify dollar dot billing city plus plus and dollar dot billing country. And if we want to just print the index, we can do that as well. If we just write, let's name it as ID, and this one gonna be dollar dollar. I'll have to put the comma here, and you can see in the preview that now billing address is London, UK, since we did not put a space, so it's concatenated without a space. And for the ID it's with 0, and in the second case its ID is shown as 1, because this dollar dollar is containing the index. So this is how we can use map function, and using that we can iterate through all the elements in our array of objects. I'm not going to cover the advanced topics, as there are many other options that you can use when you are going to iterate over the objects, array of objects. But to make the video shorter and to keep the things simplest in the simplest possible form, I'm just covering like this. Now let me move it back to the previous case where we have account and we have index and we had the lambda expression. and let's change it back to the previous state. So here I'm going to write account dot billing city, and this one is going to be account dot billing country, and let me put a space in between so you can see that we have changed it. Let me delete this one and make it index. So you can see now in the preview we have billing address London space UK, ID 0 and ID 1. So now next I want to show you how we can use map object. And before I do the map object, let me explain the difference between the map function and map object function. If you see here, when we use map function, it's iterating through the array, and every time this account is containing one object. So first time it's picking up the first account, second time it's picking up the second account. But contrary to this, if you are using map object picks one particular object. So instead of working on an array, map object is going to work on a single object. For example, if we take this one, map object is going to take this particular account, and then in the value, key and index, it's going to contain the elements of this particular object. Let me show you and explain to you with an example. So let's now, here we are going to add the map object function. And as I explained to you that in case of map object, it's working on a single object and not an array. So I will use account because account is containing a single object, and I will use map object function. And for the map object, I'm going to specify value, key and index of object because we already have an index. So I will use a different name here. And here, let me now copy this and put it over here, and I'll have to make some changes. And the change I'll have to make is that I'll have to specify here, let me first print everything. So what I will do, I will write key and I will write value. I forgot the lambda expression here. And now if you see here, we are getting the desired results. We have complete information printed as an output. We can observe that in the preview. This is because now what happens is that since this is nested, so we have array iteration through the map function. So once it's iterating for every object, now it's calling map object. So it's for the first object, once it's called, it's printing the key and the value, and then next time it goes to the second object and it prints everything for the second object. If we want to make any changes, we can make over here. For example, if we want to put a condition, and based on certain condition we want to make some changes, we can do that as well. For that, let me add a if condition. So what I want to do is that I want that if billing country is equal to Pakistan, I want to add another element with the name language, and that one I want to specify the value for that language as Urdu. So let me do that. So I will write if value equal Pakistan, and I also want to specify the index for this value and index of object, so that I don't want that if Pakistan appears at any point for any value it should change it, only if index is equal to 0, then I want that the value should be changed to something else, or I want another element. But for that I will have to add the else condition as well, else what it has to do. So I want that if the value is Pakistan, right now automatically if you see here, it has put billing country is equal to Pakistan because I put the condition and I did not put anything in the else. So I will have to put everything here as well, key colon value. So now it's printing everything, but here we will have to make some slight changes. Here what I want to do is that when our country is Pakistan, it should also print language as Urdu. So now if you observe, the first object is getting printed without language, but the second one has language equal to Urdu because of this condition that I specified over here. So this is a very simple basic example how we can have iteration over an array of objects, and within that for a single object we can have another nested call to map object, and for that we can specify some condition, and based on certain conditions we can achieve the desired goals. In this case what I did is that based on the condition I am just adding a new element. So this is a very simple use case that I covered in this tutorial, and I did not go into the nitty-gritties and the advanced topics. In the subsequent videos I will cover different other advanced topics related to this as well, how we can do the filtering and how we can do various other operations for our array of objects. But that's not the scope of this video, as I wanted to keep things simple in this and just wanted to explain you how you can iterate and how you can achieve your desired output based on the iteration of an array of objects. That's it from this video, and I hope that the information that is conveyed to you using this video is helpful. If you have any questions, any ambiguities, or need further clarification, feel free to write in the comment section. And if you want to read further and if you want to understand further, I have many videos on this playlist covering different topics for MuleSoft, and it's an ongoing playlist with addition in which I'm continuously adding new videos. So you can refer to this, and if you like this, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And also additional to this, of course, the best resource for any knowledge for MuleSoft is the official documentation. So if you want to explore further about different topics, you can always refer to the official documentation from MuleSoft as well. That's it from this video. Thank you very much.